Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing DmC Definitive Edition on Gods Must Die difficulty mode. Hardcore, turbo turned on. So what I'm doing here is trying to get the Devil Trigger substance from the two slugs that are in this area. I have got Devil Trigger substance from both the slug that I hit originally and the slug over there to the left. Although it was like 1 out of 50. But this chapter, holy fucking hell. The guide teetered to cancellation so closely. It was on the brink of cancellation. So this is an optional fight, and you don't want to miss this fight. You don't want to hit these guys off, because the more hits you get in on them without environmental kills, the more Devil Trigger you accrue. So your goal, you can build your Devil Trigger all the way before the final fight. There's only two main fights in this chapter. The second one just takes the cake in my opinion. It's the exact same fight from from Dante Must Die. But with this difficulty, you get hit so hard that it was not even it was beyond just hours. It took me 3 days to finally beat this fucking fight. And the one I'm talking about is the Dream Runner, who's accompanied by two Blood Rages at the end of the chapter. It's the second fight. So I'm glad I did it. Now what I'll say is that on the particular fight that I'm talking about, there is a way to manipulate it, because there are little crags that you can hide behind the platform. And indeed, I found a pretty good path, but the one that I found originally was I can't really explain it, but it's just a piece of the environment that you can hide behind. You hide behind a piece of the mountain. Like, you'll be on a crag like this, and there's a there's like a walking plane, like a board, or like a I don't know how you'd call it, but it's the plane, like the walking plane that you walk on to get to the platform. And you could actually hide behind there and do the Trinity Smash and hit the Blood Rages and the Dream Runner, and they never come behind there. So if you want to use that strategy, you can. For these guys here, it's a charged Eric's, and then launch them off. The reason I'm launching these guys off is because they're extremely problematic. But the way to contain these guys, actually, you guys, is this way. You stun them, you use a charge tequila, you do another double charge, second level charge, do another Aquila at level 2, and then it's just stun locking them permanently in this method here. So you want to be as stylish as possible. The two slugs that I mentioned in the beginning of the chapter, I would say at least get one of them to give you some Devil Trigger, because that will increase your overall amount that you have. This fight here is actually not that bad. This is the second of the 3 phases, and all it is Death Knights and Hell Knights. I don't think there's any Frost Knights here, but you can completely control these guys by air spamming them. And then after this fight, there are only 2 small skirmishes, both of which are skippable, and then you're on the final fight. Now, if you don't mind, possibly, I think, and I suspect that this is true, if you have your Devil Trigger all the way filled out, there is an opportunity to just not even do the second fight, because the grappling hook points are there. It's just that you need to constantly be using the Devil Trigger to offset all the damage you receive in the flames. And I almost made it, but I got to there and I didn't have all my Devil Trigger up. I redid this chapter many times during the course of 3 days. And I figured to myself that if I just had a little more Devil Trigger, I would have made it to the other side. So those are my 2 warnings. If you want to cheaply do the fight that I'm talking about with the Dream Runner and the Blood Rages, you have 3 options. You can even do it another way, but it's just There's so many ways to do anything really in this game. But like I mentioned, you can stand behind the piece of geometry, which I'll try to point out in this video, or you can actually do my method, which is it's a more honorable way of isolating yourself in a section of the mountain that the enemies can still come after you, but it's a lot fairer. And when I found it, I just don't think that many people will miss it, because it's part of the environment, and it doesn't feel to me like it's very cheap. But it's a way of kind of shooing the enemies in your favor and getting them contained as best as possible, because that combination of enemies is just ridiculous. And the reason I probably don't even remember it is because on Dante Must Die, not much is very remarkable, because you just don't get damaged that much. But all the stakes turn on this difficulty. I was in one of those like depressed states where I was just thinking, God damn it, I promised everybody that I could do this guide, and here I am, I'm unable to beat this section. So a word of warning about all this too: if I can't beat Virgil at the end, I might delete the guide too. So it's just I have a lot of integrity, and when I can't beat something, I feel that it's better to just delete it than leave something unfinished, like Vanquish. But I don't know. I'll try to pull through. So over here you've got 2 Ravagers and one Ravager, 2 Hell Knights. Beware. Watch as my health drains up here. I think the flames hit me up here, so just beware of anything like this. See, just drop down if you have to. It's really easy to hit these guys off, especially with the Eric's combo of YY delay Y. So and again, if you want to, it's not really that I needed a full amount of Devil Trigger, and when you see my footage over here, I don't have a full amount of Devil Trigger, but it's very easy to save up all your Devil Trigger and then get to the fight that's coming up. And then during the first of the 2 waves, is there 3 waves? I think there's just 2 waves, you guys, but it's very simple to get to the final wave, like the very final fight of this chapter, like the final wave of the final fight. It's very easy to get there with a full amount of Devil Trigger. Surviving is not easy, but I have a good place for you to stand, and I have given you some options. Now let's run down those options again. You can hide behind the piece of cover that I mentioned, although it's going to probably take you 20 or so minutes to make all the hits connect, because just the nature of putting the geometry between you and the enemy, you're not always going to make contact with them, but the enemies will never come back to where you're located. So the other option is to go the route I go, where the enemies can go and greet you, but it's a nice little narrow path on the side of the mountain, and you could actually do these kind of charges right here and just go ape shit with the Devil Trigger. That's my best advice. It's 2 very deadly enemies combined, and they want you to do it at once, and it's nothing new. Seriously, we've already seen that combination on Dante Must Die, but when you don't get hit very much, none of the fights are very remarkable. For me, anyway. So there are some slugs over here if you want to get them. Some spiders too, but if you get to where I am, even if you have less, you'll get enough Devil Trigger. See, coming up here, it will be to the immediate right is the area where you can go if you want, but it's really cheap to stand. See, you take a right over here. You probably can't see it, but immediately when you see that ledge right there, that board, you take a right over there, you'll find it. I'll even point it out, because I think some of the enemies, it's right over here. See, right? It's just jump immediately in front of me right now, that area right over there. You just jump and hide behind there, and the enemies will never come back there, not even the Dream Runner. But the area that I have for you is, you see that dangling pod? It's right immediately in front of where I am right now. And I pretty much was almost going to give up. But this wave here, you're going to see extreme cheapness on my behalf. What I'm going to do, since this wave is so simple but so easy to get damaged anyway, if you're just trying to muscle your way through everything, but what I'm doing is just drive spamming the lesser Stygians, and then I'm taking care of this guy. Watch out for his 2-hit combo. It's slow and can sometimes catch you off guard. Oh, there is 3 waves. Okay, this wave here you've got a witch and then some of the elite Stygians, whom I'm going to drive spam afterwards too. The witches aren't that bad. Sometimes I use a little bit of the devil trigger to recover. But the main issue here, you know, you're not going to struggle here. So come to the fight if you have maxed out health and a good supply of devil trigger, you have a good chance of surviving this. But I thought so too. And yet it took me 3 days. I don't know how many hours it was, but it was 3 days of playing, and it wasn't fun. But anyway, I'm just shoving these guys off. I remember that's what I'm doing. I'm just poking these guys right off the ledge. These pieces of shit. I can't tell you how much I hate the combination of Dream Runners and Rages. It's very difficult. So immediately get back over here and just jump right over here. And the Curtain of Flame can actually damage you, so be very careful. But this seems more of a place that the designers of this game had in mind for you to stand, rather than the cheap spot that I mentioned before. So it's just, you want to bludgeon the Blood Rages with the Devil Triggered Arbiter. I think there's one left here, so I'm going to use a lock-on and try to locate him. So I'm going to get the lock-on, he'll come over to me. I'll use this to stun lock him. It probably doesn't stun lock that move right there. But sometimes the Dream Runner can come back over here where we're at. But now that those pieces of shit are out of the picture, we could actually come back over here and get the Dream Runner. The reason I don't think that spot is cheap is because all the enemies can actually come back and fight you back there. The place that I mentioned before, none of the enemies can get you, and it seems more of a just like a piece of geometry that I think the developers, if they made another version of this game, they would take out if they learned of it. Because you can completely just stand back there and use the Trinity Smash. So here's the Dream Runner. You know what to do. Charged Eric's attacks. Don't wait for the level 2 charge, because these guys can get out of their stun really quick. And then just use your Devil Trigger to finish them off. But you see this right here? These hooks are available during the fight. So, like I said, if you have all your Devil Trigger, you might be able to make it to the end. But I never did. The cheap way I didn't, but the legitimate way I did. Take care.